Hello and welcome to the program. This segment is an exploration of BSV wallets. I've reached out to a pair of developers that are responsible for the Money Button and Handcash wallets. We're going to hear from each of them. First up, Ryan Charles.
Hey there, Ryan. Thank you for taking the time to talk with me today. Can you tell me a little bit about your background and what you're attempting with Money Button?
Sure. Well, thanks for talking with me, Michael. So my background in a nutshell is I'm someone who's been technical for my entire life, been programming since a young age. I had a bit of a diversion away from engineering and became a physicist for a while and nearly got a PhD in physics, but I was very excited about Bitcoin in 2011. And in 2013, I decided to quit my PhD in physics and go full-time Bitcoin. I worked at 3 different companies. I worked at BitPay, Reddit, and BitGo, each of which are kind of long stories in their own right. I then started a project that would, over the year, turn into Money Button. So the primary project we're working on right now is called Money Button. Is a simple payment. It's easy for developers to install it on applications and websites, and it's easy for users to swipe the button to send a payment. So what we're doing is, in a nutshell, we're solving the user experience problem for Bitcoin.
And what would you say is the primary focus of the Money Button project?
Yeah, I mean, I think that the best way to look at it is, we like the original Bitcoin protocol because we think that it can scale globally. And this is something that was a bit misunderstood, in our opinion, by most of the cryptocurrency industry for a lot of reasons that we can go into if you want to. It's got a long and storied history, but there is something called the block size debate where people kind of disagreed about the right way to scale Bitcoin. Well, we're firmly in the camp of increasing the maximum block size. And effectively all that means is that the way that Bitcoin wallets work, exactly the same, no matter how many transactions are on the network. And from an economic perspective, what it means is that because the blocks are going to be really big, Bitcoin is mined by professional businesses who have to develop infrastructure to be able to handle large blocks. And long-term, the size of blocks will be extremely large. So what we're doing with Money Button is we're just using the protocol, and we don't care about how the miners scale it. We need to know that it will work. We don't need to know the details. What we're doing is making sure that users have a good experience actually using Bitcoin. So we are a user experience focused company in the sense that the whole purpose of it is to make it possible to use it for people, to remove every barrier that people have from being able to use it and making it so that they can actually use Bitcoin. And that means doing things like being able to send money for low fees and writing data on chain that's permanent and immutable and authentic and things like this. So that's what we're doing. We're solving the user experience problem of Bitcoin.
How does it integrate with the web or mobile or the larger BSV ecosystem?
Yeah, well, okay, first of all, on web and mobile, I mean, web is the easiest one because it's literally an iframe. So we provide a snippet of code that you can actually copy and paste into any website. So it's very, very easy to get going with Money Button. We also have a very sophisticated API, so you'll realize that as you want to make something more sophisticated, we provide a lot of features. So we basically make it extremely easy to get going using it by just copying and pasting code. And then as you develop something more sophisticated, you can use our sophisticated API to do that. Mobile is slightly harder because you have to use a web view, but it is possible to integrate this into a web app. And it's also possible to integrate it into basically anything that uses web technologies, which is these days pretty much any type of application can use it, depending on sort of how much work you're willing to do, just because web technologies are sort of ubiquitous. Now, within the Bitcoin SV ecosystem, I don't have hard numbers, but I think it's fair to say we are probably the most widely used wallet API in the ecosystem. There are many, many applications using Money Button as basically the payment system of their application. We have hundreds of apps that are using it, and about 5 to 10 of them are sort of quite large. So some of the largest applications like Twitch and Chain and Baymail are example applications that use Money Button, as sort of the wallet of their application.
What can you tell us about the roadmap going forward for Money Button?
We have not solved every user experience problem yet. So I don't want to go into details because basically we now consider that like proprietary information.
Sure, you don't have to give away any of the special sauce.
Yeah, but I'll just say that, look, I mean, something I've talked about extensively publicly is, solve the onboarding problem. So the onboarding problem is basically what happens when a new user sees button on a website and clicks it for the first time. In order to be able to use Money Button, they need to be able to get Bitcoin SV. And unfortunately, right now, that's extremely difficult. And there's no way we can solve this problem by ourselves. We need the collaboration of the entire industry to help us solve this problem. So fortunately, there's a new website called buybsv.com, which partially solves this problem. They have a wonderful solution for people that live in Europe. It is possible to buy Bitcoin very quickly and inexpensively and easily in Europe. It only works in Europe to the best of my knowledge, and it doesn't even work everywhere in Europe. It does not work in the US. It doesn't work throughout most of the rest of the world. There are complicated reasons for this that have to do primarily with things like regulations and just policies that banks have. So we need more businesses that provide on-ramps to Bitcoin SV. Another problem is that for people who are familiar, and I hate to sort of touch on this subject, but for various reasons, Bitcoin SV is not widely supported across cryptocurrency exchanges. So if we could just have greater support for Bitcoin SV on existing exchanges, that would help a lot. What we're doing is doing everything we can to barrier to on. And so this includes things like partnerships, but it also includes technical solutions to making it easier to get Bitcoin SV into the wallet and things like this. So without going into details, that's sort of the centerpiece of everything that we're doing, is making it so that new users can start using Money Button as easily as possible.
Are there any points that you feel weren't addressed in the earlier prompts, or things that you think are important to mention that maybe you didn't get to go into detail about?
Well, sure. I mean, I would just say that, this is kind of a sort of a complicated thing, and I don't want to get into drama unless you want to. So the Bitcoin SV world, basically, I think people don't realize how advanced we already are. I mean, we have real apps that people are actually using that really sets us apart from the rest of the industry. And we've already demonstrated the ability to scale much, much, much bigger than any of the other cryptocurrencies. So I think the thing that people should be aware of is, there's a lot of movement out there about cryptocurrency in general and Bitcoin SV specifically. So I encourage everyone to actually mind and take a look at what we're actually doing. So for the rest of the people in the crypto world, they seem to have practically no idea how successful we already are with respect to real world applications. So I think that's the biggest thing. I mean, people should take a look at this stuff, and I think you'll find what I'm saying is correct, that we're way ahead of the rest of the industry. And, basically, if you're someone that is building an application or creating a business or something like this, you should take a look at Bitcoin SV, and you should take a look at Money Button, because we're solving all of the most important problems. And the only reason why we're not sort of more sort of understood is because a lot of fake information on social media.
I appreciate you talking with me today, and I think that people have a better understanding of your place within the BSV ecosystem and what Money Button is attempting.
Great. Yeah. Well, thank you very much, Michael, for the opportunity to talk with you.
The next segment is with Handcash developer Alex Agut.
Thanks for taking the time to talk with me today, Alex. Will you tell me a little bit about your background and what you are attempting with Handcash?
Yeah, well, my background, I'm a product designer. I didn't finish my degree. That's just one point. What we are trying to accomplish with Handcash, and I say we because I started this project along with my co-founder Rafa, and we thought that Bitcoin was a great technology, but once we started learning about Bitcoin and the possibilities of it, we saw that the app ecosystem was crap. And the tools for actually building an app were very crappy. And we wanted to offer something unique and different. And, we came to the conclusion of, we asked ourselves, what do they call it, electronic peer-to-peer cash, if it doesn't work like cash at all? If it feels more like a kind of a private bank account aimed for developers. So we said, why don't we create a money app that is as easy to use as, like Cash App or Venmo or any of these apps that people already use. and let's see if it's possible to do it with Bitcoin and using NFC technology and all this stuff to do cool things with it. And yeah, we started with a small MVP, a small demo. It ran on BTC, the first version. We did BTC very fast because it was back in November 2017 when the fees skyrocketed, and we realized that we couldn't get a good user experience with that, and that's how our journey started with that. And yeah, our goal basically is to create a new kind of way of using money by using Bitcoin in the background to create great apps and tools.
Very nice. There are obviously a couple of wallets in the BSV community. What would you say is the primary focus of Handcash?
I think it's about. I think we have a different focus from the. I think our differentiator with Handcash is that we are not trying to force Bitcoin into people or educate people into Bitcoin, but to do it the other way around. We are trying to create something that's familiar enough for people to use, and it's not aimed for Bitcoiners, but we are trying to do the best we can to get the respect for longtime Bitcoiners, and most of them appreciate what we are trying to do here. And we want to be the product that they recommend to their friends and families to get started with Bitcoin.
How does it integrate with the web mobile or larger BSV ecosystem?
We are working on something. We launched back in November 2018. We launched something that was called Cashboard at the time. We have a new name for it now, but we still haven't disclosed that yet. We will make an announcement soon. Cashboard was the first login system for Bitcoin. So now everybody takes for granted what Money Button does with signing with Money Button and all the stuff with Twitch and all these applications. But we actually were the first ones to do it, and you actually could do payments without even being present in the website. Like when you were watching videos with Streamanity, you were being charged by the minute, or you didn't have to swipe or scan things, and it just worked. So, but the first version was a little bit crappy because also the first version of our wallet, I mean the beta, it wasn't super flexible, and we didn't have enough control so we could create a great user experience with Cashboard. So we decided to just rebuild all the ecosystem that we were trying to build in a way that makes sense, and we can all the pieces fit together much nicer. So Handcash basically is going to become an account for Bitcoin, and the wallet side is going to fade away gradually.
Very nice. So there is a plan to extend beyond the mobile experience.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Excellent.
Now we are working on it. It's our top priority, in fact.
Very good, because I think that there is a large set of tools that are emerging from the BSV developer community that are, let's say, more internet or web content layer focused. And I think Handcash being involved is good.
We are taking a different approach with that. I don't want to give details, but
no, it's okay.
We are taking a different approach. We see that there are two main ways of developing Bitcoin apps right now, which are these open source protocols that you kind of have to get like 5 or 6 of them together. Like I get Bitbus and Planaria and this and that and DataPay and Money Button, and I mix them all together, and then I can create a Bitcoin app. The problem is that interoperability is not great, and you still have to learn a lot of stuff about Bitcoin and maintain all this infrastructure. And then there's this other side, which are the buttons, like Money Button or Relay One or the Fast Pay button, all these buttons, which basically are the UI widgets that they are easy to integrate because it's just copy and paste a little bit of HTML code. There are a lot of problems with them. Is that you're restricted to the web browser, and it's not very flexible if you want to do other stuff that doesn't require the user to actually take action, like for example swiping a button. So if you want to do automated payments, they don't work. So there are many problems with that too. So we kind of give it a thought for a while, and we think there's a new kind of product that can fit, can do both things much better than the protocols and the buttons, and be even much easier than both of them combined, and also provide a better, more immersed experience with the Handcash ecosystem.
Would you tell us a little bit about the roadmap going forward? You don't have to necessarily reveal anything that is behind the scenes, but maybe a little bit about what you're hearing in regards to users' requests for Handcash, or some features that you think might be around the corner that people are asking for.
Yeah, many people. There are many small tweaks that we are going to implement in the coming weeks. Is that we have focused on the migration side, because we just couldn't do a direct update from the old app, because it's a totally different app structure. The wallet structure is totally different. The security, everything it's brand new, so we just couldn't update the app, and so we had to do all this migration process, which was a little bit more, I wouldn't say complicated. Yeah, it was complicated, but also was tricky in some parts, because there, especially in Android, there are thousands of different devices and configurations and software, and it was a very tricky process. But most of all migration processes have were successful within a minute or something, and didn't have any issue. But the people that had a little bit of issues, well, we have upgraded support so we could help them. So most of them are already set up. So now that we have the migration part is under control, we are going to start adding these other very necessary features, like biometrics lock, which is the you will have your Handcash account locked, and you will be able to unlock it with your Touch ID or Face ID or whatever you have in your phone. We are going to also add very soon support for family and business accounts. So with your same phone number and the same 12 words, you can actually add more accounts. And let's say that you have a master account that can recover all of them, and it's safer for everyone else in your family, and you don't need extra phone numbers for that. Then other stuff that we are going to improve, in the payment history. We are going to make it very easy for you to extract all your payments in a way that you can just give to your accountant. We think that's very important. And there are many features that we are going to add, but they are related to the new version of Cashport.
Mm-hmm.
So I cannot talk about them, but it's going to be very, very cool once it's done.
Are there any last points that we didn't address that you think are critical to talk about or mention that you didn't get to previously?
I don't know. To be honest, is that people tend to ask us many tech-related questions about how it works, whatever. But we are, maybe it's because we are not Bitcoiners from since 2011 or something, that we are newcomers to this, and we have a very different approach on how to build a product, on what kind of things we share with others, actually it's much better if we can just focus on what can you do with Handcash, and is it safe? Of course it's safe. And can you send money very fast? Yeah, you can. So we tick all the boxes in terms of a good Bitcoin experience. And I don't think that people should care that much about, how we or other companies handle UTXOs or something. But I understand that we are in a phase this is very most people here are very enthusiastic about this technology and want to know all these details. But so, we are always open to discuss and comment our view on stuff. But ultimately, we just want to provide the best user experience, and we are not. We don't feel that like we are constrained to old Bitcoin dogmas or the old way of doing things.
Very good. Well, thank you for talking with me today, Alex, and I appreciate your time. I think that we've all learned a little bit about Handcash. It's always good to be able to talk with the developer. So I appreciate your time.
Great.
I hope this has been an informative segment for you. I appreciate you joining the broadcast, and we'll talk again soon. My name is Michael Finney. Be good out there.